Welcome to Disabled Expectations. When you're a dad raising a child with a disability, nothing is as you planned. These are the raw, honest stories of dads whose lives changed the day they heard a diagnosis and who continue to show up, adapt, and fight for their families every day. This isn't about lowering expectations, it's about redefining them. I'm Andy, and this is Disabled Expectations. Well, thanks for joining us. I am so excited to have my man Geof with me today. He has just been a great friend, excited to get to know him more and more through Certain Hope, and really excited about his story and all the things he's going to share. So Geof, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, been waiting a little bit to do this and excited to have a conversation.
Yeah, I feel like it's been like all this tension. Like we've like set it up and then it like didn't happen, and we've tried to set it. It's just been like, okay, it's happening. This is so exciting. Let me ask you this. Do you have any secret talents that like the average Joe wouldn't know about you that the world needs to know?
No, I do not have any secret talents. I feel like whatever is out there is who I am. I'm not going to surprise most people on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so just your golf game is like...
I mean, that one's not secret. You asked for something people didn't know about. The
okay,
golf game.
So okay, you're a big
the
deal.
golf game is known.
Knows.
People know that's my one thing.
I love it. I love it. That's a difficult thing to be good at, but you figured it out.
It's taken me 39 years to get this good, so it didn't start. It didn't start on day one.
I love it. Are you good at putting? That's like the worst.
Putting is not my best part. No, I think just consistency is my best part.
Ooh, so you'd be a good scramble. So if you're out there and you're having a charity scramble, you need Geof.
It's true. Man. I played in a scramble a couple Sundays ago, and we did very well, and that was fun. But it was raining and it was 30 degrees. So that's how much of a diehard golfer I am, because I still played.
What was your score? Negative what?
We shot, I think it was 8 under.
Oh boy, that's good.
And given the conditions,
yeah,
that was amazing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Well, like I said, I'm excited. Gotten to know you a lot through Certain Hope community, and then you're just a staple at our dad's Bible study, which I just love that you are a part of that. And why don't you start by just telling me a little bit about your family?
Sure. Yeah. So my wife and I, Caitlin, we live in Jenison, Michigan. We have been married for 13 years. I am from the Hudsonville area, so right near where we live now, and Caitlin is from about an hour and a half from where we live. So her family is not very close, but my family is all in the area here. So that's been nice. And then we have one daughter, and that's Vivian, who I know we'll be talking about a little bit more, but she is our only child at the time.
Yeah. And how old is Vivian? Vivian
is 3 years old. She'll be 4 in a couple months. So right at the end of January, she'll turn 4, which every parent probably says it, but I don't know how it can go that fast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. It's wild. My youngest is 10, and it's like, I don't remember that happening. No one asked 10, permission. Yeah. So, you and Caitlin, what's your number one go-to thing to do for fun if you have like half a day?
We are outdoors people. So if we have half a day, we'll be hiking. We'll be going. We really enjoy all the Ottawa County parks and trails, and we really like going to guided hikes. So the Ottawa County Parks and Rec puts together a lot of like programs. Learn about the trees or learn about the flowers, and we're very big into doing those and learning all about nature. So that's where you'll find us, is outside.
Man, I like that. That's sweet. So tell me, let's just like slide right into talking about Vivian and her story, because that's what everyone wants to know about, is this journey that you guys are on. So start from, 3 years ago. Tell me a little bit about tell me a little bit about her, you guys finding out, and then we'll get into her birth.
Yeah. So we were married for almost 10 years before we decided to have children. And once we did, it was a shock to all of our families that we were having a child because they
Wow.
had all kind of thought at that point that we would never have kids. So it was a big surprise. It made a lot of fun to do kind of the reveal of, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a child, and so they had kind of given up on that. But yeah, a lot of excitement in the family for our first child, and so I would say pregnancy, everything was pretty typical for Caitlin.
Okay.
Although she was geriatric, so I want to put that out there into the world that she was advanced maternal age at the
Yeah,
time.
Caitlin's gonna appreciate that. What is it? What is classified now as geriatric?
It's
What's the age?
35. 35 is geriatric mother. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they have that bar quite low.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really all that entailed was that there were like a lot of additional appointments as the pending birth came. So instead of being every, couple weeks, it was like every week or something that Caitlin had to go in and get stress tests and things like that done. And,
Right.
So yeah, everything throughout that process went typical. No signs of anything going on at that point. The birth was unbelievably fast. I think that we were in denial that we were having the child. Vivian was she's 10 days early, so it wasn't super early to be coming out. But we got to the hospital at 8:30, and Vivian was born at 10.
Wow.
So we were not in there very long.
Done.
I hadn't even got the suitcase up to the room or prepared anything, and it was happening.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you the whole pregnancy, nothing, no signs in any ultrasound that there would be anything going on.
No. I mean, it's one of those things where you look back and you think about what was going on. It was our first child, so we didn't know what how is Vivian supposed to be kicking a lot? Is she supposed to be moving a lot? And looking back, she didn't move a lot or kick a lot. And so like there were signs like that. Okay, you once you know what goes on later, then you look back and you say that might have been something going on there. And the biggest thing is, so Vivian is epileptic, and one of the things that with the geriatric pregnancy, Caitlin would do these stress tests where they would basically try to make sure that the baby is moving in the womb. And Vivian rarely moved during the stress tests. So we were in these tests for a lot longer than I think a typical patient was. And it felt like the doctors at some point were kind of just like, we've seen enough. Like, you can go. But looking back, you say, well, maybe Vivian wasn't moving inside because something was going on. And the most likely thing that was happening was she was probably having seizures in the womb and just was like sleeping constantly because she was so worn out from having seizures. Before she was born. So that kind of gets to the after the birth story was that, so as soon as Vivian was born, she was having seizures outside of the womb as well. So we didn't know at the time.
Okay. Sorry.
It was obvious that something, no, you're fine. It was obvious that something was going on, but we didn't know what we were seeing. And the nurses that were with us also didn't know. And I don't think they saw the same things that we were seeing, but Vivian was having these episodes of looking back, clear seizure activity, and then when we described it to the nursing staff, they thought that she was just pooping. And as we talked to a lot more families that have the similar disorder that Caitlin has, a lot of them had that same response where because she was clenching and kind of like squeezing and like they thought, okay, well, she's just going to the bathroom. So we noticed these things. We told, nursing staff, no one thought anything any more of it. And we were discharged. And so we went home.
They didn't even do any tests.
No, there's no tests going on.
Come on.
And so we went home, on a Monday evening and, had one day at home. And Vivian kept doing this kind of episode constantly, like it was all the time. And we kept saying to ourselves, well, the nurses, they said it was, she was, pooping, but nothing's ever happening. She's never going to the bathroom. There's nothing coming out. It's just, this is always keeps happening. So we started recording them. And we were just like, this doesn't seem right. And so we had all day Tuesday at home. We woke up Wednesday morning and we were like, we have to call the doctor. Like, this doesn't seem right. Vivian had her, 2-day checkup scheduled for that day. But we were like, we need to know now. Like, so we called the pediatrician, and on the phone, she was like, when this is happening to Vivian, what are her eyes doing? Are they, going to the side and kind of pulsing? And literally, as the pediatrician on the phone said that, it was happening to Vivian. And she's like, I think you need, to come in now. And we'll look at this. And so we went in and they were like, yeah, this seems like seizure activity. And so they called down to Helen DeVos and said, we have a patient coming. And so they were waiting for us at Helen DeVos. And
wow. Did you drive her or did you take the ambulance?
We drove. Yeah, okay. We did drive. So we actually went home and they were like, pack your bag. You could be there for a little bit while they figure out what's going on. And so we packed a bag and we went there expecting to be there a couple of days. And that turned into 2 weeks. So we were there for 2 weeks while they, tried to figure out what was going on with Vivian. And they immediately, since Vivian came home from the hospital, she was only still a 2-day-old baby at that point. But when you come home, then you cannot be admitted to the NICU because you've been outside in the world. Right. So that's typically where they would have brought her, but they couldn't. So they brought her to the standard kind of neurology floor where all the other neurology patients were, getting their EEGs and all of their things like that. And so I will say she was the favorite patient on the floor for sure, because they don't often get a 2-day-old child there for them to kind of,
wow,
work on and see all the time. So she was definitely the favorite patient that was there. And so, they started doing 24-hour EEGs and looking at her, and what was going on. And it kind of leads into one of the stories that I wanted to say was around, there was a lot of confusion, why is she having seizures? How can we stop these? They kept trying meds that weren't working and, trying all these tests, and nothing was kind of helping Vivian at all. And Vivian, her EEG, you become a first-time parent to a child and you don't know what you're getting into, right? I don't know anything about parenting when I first started. I still don't know, anything I feel like about parenting. Now you're at a hospital and they're just throwing all these words at you, and there's people everywhere, and and I don't know what's right and what's wrong and what's typical and what's non-typical. And and all of a sudden I'm reading EEGs, 3 days into Vivian's life. And it's like, God, there are lines all over the place here. But Vivian's EEG, she had what's called burst suppression. So her brain waves would go crazy for a while and then they would just stop. So her brain would just shut off. Not a good thing to be happening.
Right.
And so they diagnosed her with, at the time, they diagnosed her with EIEE, which is early infantile encephalitic encephalopathy.
Wow.
Then the hard part was that Caitlin and I had a nurse or a doctor or someone at the facility who unfortunately didn't have the best bedside manner to give kind of information like that to parents. And so, they start off the conversation and they say, well, don't Google this. Well, what does that tell you? Like, first thing you're going to do is Google it when they leave. But she said, oh, well, we have a diagnosis here. I think it's a stock symbol or something like that. So don't worry about it. There's just some letters. And that was like, no, like that's not how you should be telling us what's going on here. And so as soon as they leave, you do look it up, and don't recommend looking that up. But, the gist of it is that they don't think that people with that will live longer than 1 to 2 years. So
wow. Okay.
Now we're 4 days into Vivian's life and being told that she's not going to live, longer than 1 to 2 years. Yeah. So that was very difficult to do.
So this is 4 days after birth.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Do you remember? I mean, because you're not. I mean, you're dealing with like all the emotions. Like, you're a dad for the first time. you've got you and your wife are just so excited to have a baby, but then all of a sudden you're like, you got these questions and there's so much uncertainty with what she's doing, how she's acting. And then 4 days later, you get a diagnosis, if that's what, we're calling it, but that is just not what you want to hear. Do you remember where you were at, like emotionally, like how you, how you,
Yeah, I remember like just crying constantly. Like I would literally just be standing over Vivian and just tears flowing down onto her constantly, and
yeah,
hands over her, like wondering what's going to happen. Like, am I ever going to be able to bring you home again? Like there's just, unbelievable scenes of sadness. And
right.
at the time, Vivian was born in 2022, which, I thought not at the height of the pandemic, but it was at the
Yeah.
height of Omicron. So there's always one more to the one more to the one more, and so we couldn't have visitors at the hospital. Thankfully, we could have two parents there, because I know at some point, there was a minimum or a maximum amount of people you could have there. We could have both of us there, thankfully, but
Yeah.
we weren't allowed to bring anyone in, and that was a really difficult situation to think. Like our parents, who were so excited, Geof and Caitlin are having their child, and they couldn't come visit, and then we couldn't, and we had this this tiny Vivian that we didn't know how long she was going to make it, and they couldn't come see her. And so that was really difficult. We did end up during that 2-week stay, begging with the staff there, and they did change the policy so that both of our sets of parents could come in individually.
Yeah,
to the
that's
room,
good.
for like a special visit. So that was difficult though, because then they come in so that you can tell them the news, and so that was really hard.
Right. Again, like that like a roller coaster of like, there's so much excitement. And then why don't you sit down? We're going to tell you, some
Yeah.
things that are just so difficult.
Yeah. So then the rest of the stay, they didn't want us to leave the hospital until Vivian could eat, because she was not eating at the time.
Okay.
She didn't have she was having so many seizures that she wasn't awake to be able to take in any feeds. And so they wanted to make sure they could stop the seizures before she left, and that she could eat. So they gave her an NG tube. So they put the tube in through the nose, straight into the stomach, and all of a sudden we became, experts in feeding a child through.
Yeah, because you have to do that before you can leave.
Yeah, they had to teach us how to change that. Teach us how to change that before you could go.
Jeez.
Yeah. But then the good news from that was that they did figure out, they were able to stop her seizures. So they finally found a concoction of seizure meds that were able to stop her seizures from happening.
Okay.
And then we were also lucky. I would say I'm going to call it lucky, because I know that people who had a similar experience in the same hospital, not long after we were there, didn't have the same experience we did, and that they immediately said, you should get genetic testing. So Caitlin and I, totally on board, like take Vivian's blood, take our blood, take our, saliva, whatever you need. Like let's try to figure out what's going on here. And so we got genetic testing during that initial stay at the hospital. And the good news from that was, well, of course it's good news, because it kind of changed her diagnosis, in that her seizures were not happening because she had EIEE, which was the original diagnosis. They were happening because she had a genetic mutation called KCNQ2. So because of that diagnosis, it kind of like superseded the other one, and became like, that's what her life is now. But at the time, it made it so that initial kind of lifespan thing wasn't the case. Now, on top of that story, we didn't know that. So we knew that she had KCNQ2, but no one ever told us that someone with KCNQ2 will live a typical lifespan. They have a risk of early mortality, but they're most likely going to live a typical lifespan. But no one told us that. So for the first 6 months of Vivian's life, we still thought she was only going to live 1 to 2 years, until we had a standard checkup with her epileptologist. And he was like, hey, let's look at her med here. I think we should probably, change her med a little bit. And then, lot of kids, typically they get off this med when they're 20 years old or so, and we were like, what? Like 20 years
Yeah.
old? Like, what are you talking about? Like that Vivian isn't going to live that long. And he's like, no, like because we have her seizures under control. We know they're happening because of this other reason. Like she doesn't have that diagnosis that they gave you at the start. So we lived the first 6 months of her life thinking that was the case. And now Vivian is about to be 4 years old. And so thankful that's her story now.
Yeah, I want to come back to her her actual diagnosis, but how does that play out for you and Caitlin in those like first 6 months? Like, how did that alter how you cared for her, the things you did, knowing and believing that she could only have 1 to 2 years?
I think it changed what we did in those first 6 months, but I think her whole life is we've treated her the same the whole time, in that we don't know how long she'll have with us or what she'll be able to do and enjoy throughout her entire life. So we just do everything.
Right.
We don't say no to anything, and we try to act like nothing is going on. If we want to go, we said we're big hikers,
Yeah.
We're carrying Vivian everywhere. We're going on a hike as much as we can,
Yeah.
We're doing everything that we possibly can to give her the fullest life, that we envision for her and for ourselves. And we don't stop at anything. So that's how we still do it to this day.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that's really important. When if you can go back with me again to like that EIEE diagnosis that they originally gave you, was your first thought, was it anger? Did you have anger? I mean, I know you probably had sadness. What was like, where was your mind at? Like, for the majority of those first few days? Like, I just can't imagine 4 days old and so much uncertainty, and then getting being told what you were told.
Yeah, it was mainly confusion. Obviously sadness was of course there, but it was just confusion of of course you think, what did I do, what didn't I do, is it because we're too old, is it because of this, is it because of that? And
Gotcha.
And before we knew anything else, it was like, what did we do to cause this, or how did this happen? Like, did we do something? And of course the answer is no, we didn't do anything. It was just is the that 1 in 50,000 chance, and you were the one. Like, it just everyone has a chance to have it happen, and unfortunately it happened for us. And once the genetic testing came back too, Vivian was a de novo mutation, so it happened in her. Like, it didn't pass down from Caitlin or I. It was just a typo in her gene that happened just on her. So it was nothing that we passed down or anything like that. So yeah.
So tell me again the official diagnosis. I just remember Q2.
Yeah. So Vivian has KCNQ2. DEE is the official term. So it's an acronym. So K is for potassium, CN is channel, Q2 is a specific channel, and then DEE is developmental encephalitic encephalopathy. So she'll have developmental delays, basically. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then talk a little bit about, is this a rare disease? Is this popular? Like, where does she fall with that?
Yeah, so it is a rare genetic disorder. There are, across the world, I think there are, in the thousands of people that have it. But it's unlikely that you'll meet another person that has it.
Okay.
So it is something that does not happen very often.
Yeah, man. So 3 years old. So what is she? Are there some like I'm trying to think of the word, like classic signs of this disorder that make it obvious?
There's nothing that, if you were to meet a KCNQ2 child, where you would say like, oh, they all, are this, or they all have that. it's a, as with every disorder, there is a spectrum. So, there's a, moderate to severe end of it. And you don't know what's going to happen for any of the children.
Yeah.
I'll tell a story. So, thankfully, throughout Vivian's life, KCNQ2, it was only, that's the other part of it too is interesting, is that it was only discovered in, I think, 2012. So it's less than 15 years that they've actually discovered that this is like a genetic disorder. So that's also a limiting amount of people that have it, because there are a lot of people who were never tested for it, right? If you were tested before 2012, it didn't even know it was around. So it would never have caught it. But they do have an organization that we've been able to link up with, the KCNQ2 Cure Alliance. And when Vivian was 9 months old, like I said, we do everything we can to have a, to bring everything to Vivian that we want to do.
Yeah.
And they had a conference, and so it was in Denver. So 9 months old, we took Vivian to Denver for this conference on a plane with all of her, paraphernalia, all of her feeding, all of her supplies, or
paraphernalia,
kits.
like that.
Yeah, everything you could, never knew that we'd have to be,
right,
bringing around with us. And we went to Denver to go to this conference. And so for people from all over the world will come to these conferences in America, from Australia, from European countries, from everywhere. So we wanted to go and see, like, hey, let's go meet other families that have a child with this disorder. And we went, and Vivian was the youngest one there. We've been to 3 conferences now, and she's been the youngest at 2 of them. And then this past year, she was finally not the youngest person there. But going to that conference was amazing, because we were able to see other children. It's encouraged that you bring your kids, and that they're all part of the conference. Every class, it's kind of like like a learning conference where they have all these, speakers come in and try to teach you things, and all the kids are there constantly. So we got to see, here's a 6-year-old with KCNQ2, here's another one, and they're completely different. And here's a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old, and the oldest known person with KCNQ2 was there. She is in her mid to late 20s. She's from England, and so she happened to be at that conference. So we got to see, hey, here's what it could look like when you're this old. And so you got to see, the spectrum. What does it look like? Vivian at 9 months old, no idea where she was going to fall, because she's not doing much. No child at that age is doing very much. So
talk a little bit about the spectrum. What would be more the severe, and what would be more of the opposite side?
Yeah. So the severe side, non-ambulatory, so not walking, not speaking, not able to eat orally. Basically, not able to do a whole lot on their own. And then you can go all the way to the mild side, where there are children with KCNQ2 that, they walk, they talk, they go to school, they do kind of the typical path. And there's basically every state in between. So and you never kind of know where you're going to be. There's signs early on, maybe that you're going to be more severe, that you're going to maybe be more mild, but anything can change, at the drop of a hat. So Vivian's story is not written by any means. We don't know what it's gonna bring when she's 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. We're not sure. So we just kind of go along with it, and she tells us. Doesn't actually tell us, but we can see what's going on, and she brings us a lot of joy. So
I like that. How did you and Caitlin do with seeing other kids and young adults that have this same disorder? Was that good? Was that bad?
It was good. It was good, but it was also eye-opening. So you didn't, we only knew Vivian, right? And we also, had only been in the disability world for 9 months and didn't really know a lot of other families. So we hadn't seen children with any other disorders or anything going on either. So we didn't really know kind of what to expect. And so you got to see everything, from one end to the other. And sometimes that can be difficult. And sometimes, that can that can help you out a lot, just to give you like, hey, here are possibilities, and here's kind of what it could look like. And I'll
Right.
say
You got
that
all the experts, right? And
you
in
do
one
that.
room, essentially.
The biggest thing going to these conferences is the experts, and because parents become the experts of their children. It's not. I think that every KCNQ2 parent probably knows more about their child than any of their providers. Like,
For sure.
you know your kids way more, especially when you get into a rare disorder. It's like they see your kid and that's it. So we've been able to learn from all these parents, and that community immediately like took us in.
Oh, wow.
The community immediately took us in. And the crazy story, so we were in Denver for the conference. The conference was in the city of Denver, and then we added some days onto our trip because we wanted to go to the mountains. We were like, hey, let's go. We're in Denver, let's go to the mountains. So we were going to go. After the conference was over, we rented a car. We were going to go up to the mountains. Well, while we were at the conference, our car was stolen.
What?
And so we parked it. We parked it at the hotel as soon as we got there.
Come on, Denver.
And we never needed it for 2 days because we were in the conference. After the conference was over, we went to pick up the car to drive to the mountains, and it was no longer there.
Whoa.
And it turns out, after they reviewed all the tapes, 30 minutes after I parked it, it was broken into and taken out. They just busted right through the gates and drove it right away. But what ended up happening was the community we had just met was just like, wow, how can we help? Like, people we didn't know more than 48 hours were like, come to our room, come stay in our room, come meet with us, come,
wow,
let's help you. And one of the people there that actually lived in Denver, we didn't have a car seat, so we couldn't bring Vivian anywhere. Like, well, what are we gonna do? Carry her everywhere? Like, we had no car seat because the car seat was gone.
Oh yeah.
Someone had a van, and they ended up taking us to the airport and like dropping everything and just bringing us all around. And it was like, these people we didn't know 2 days before, and now they're just doing everything for us. And some of Caitlin's and our closest friends now are people that we've met, through that organization. It's just amazing to see.
I love that.
Yeah.
So walk us through a typical day for Vivian. What does that look like? Yeah.
So Vivian, 3 years old. As soon as Vivian turned 3, we enrolled her in school. So she was eligible to go to the Ottawa Area Center here in Ottawa County. And so she goes to school full time there. I will say that Vivian is the strongest person I know. You can throw as much at her as you think she could take, and she'll say, what else can I do? And so she, a lot of kids her age don't want to go to school full time. Maybe they can't take it. They get too tired, or they're just not being able to learn that long. But not Vivian. Vivian goes to school every day, and then she comes home and she goes to therapy, and then she does whatever else is going on, and she's just go. She loves being active. She loves being around people. She has no stranger danger. Anyone could pick her up and she would give them a smile. And she's an amazing child.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some of the we'll start with some of the difficulties with her care, and then I want to talk about what are some of like the super fun things that you're able to do with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Vivian, she's 100% G-tube fed. So she's fed through a port in her stomach. So that can be easy sometimes, but that can also be a lot of work. Vivian never complains about her food. So that's an easy part of it, because we just push it right into her, and then she's full. But it's a lot of work to prepare and to clean and to handle all that goes on with that. And so that can be a difficult thing. And then Vivian, at 3 now, she doesn't nap anymore, but she basically never napped when she was 1 to 2 years old either. If she slept for more than a half an hour during the day, that would have been like, blue ribbon day. Like, it was unbelievable. And so she's never been a napper, but she was always a good nighttime sleeper. So like, she just was saving all her energy, and then we'd go to bed at night, and that was fine. But within the past kind of half year, in her third year of life here, she's not been a good nighttime sleeper anymore. So
Okay.
I'm sure everyone listening here has gone through that, and that's brutal. It's
Yeah.
For some reason she doesn't need the amount of sleep that the parents need, because Vivian, she goes through spells where she will wake up at 2 a.m. Ready for the day, and then
boy.
she can go, and then happy too. And so, but she'll go the whole day then,
She's in a
2
great
a.m.
mood about it.
to 8 p.m. and not need a nap still. And so, but then,
Wow.
the parents have to try to pick that up. And thankfully, Caitlin and I, after you go through that for a while, you get a system. And so it's like, okay, you take her for 2 hours while the other person sleeps. And then I'll take her for 2 hours while you sleep. And so you're getting this kind of fragmented, sleep.
Yeah.
And
Is that still going on right now?
It's gotten better. It's either gotten better or we've gotten better. So it could be either way. But we finally
you look great for not getting a ton of sleep.
We finally got figured out a system where as soon as she makes a noise at night, she'll sleep in her own bed, typically for about 4 hours. As soon as you hear her make a noise, you got to get her up and bring her into our bed. So if we can get her into our bed, we continually reposition her into a position that she can sleep in, and then she'll stay asleep until 6 a.m. and that's glorious.
Yeah. That's a good day.
Yeah, that's a good day. Yeah. So wow. I think part of it might be that she can roll over and she can move around, but I think when she's sleeping, she doesn't understand how to reposition herself. So as soon as she wakes up and is like, well, I'm uncomfortable, or I'm, what's going on? Then like if it takes too long for her to figure that out, then she just wakes up, as opposed to like wanting to go to sleep in whatever position she's in.
Right. What are some of the fun things you guys like to do with Vivian? Is she into anything like movies, or does she have any, awesome toys that are like that I need to know about?
Vivian's favorite things, probably in this order, are Miss Rachel. So Vivian, no matter what, if she is upset about something, you could rock her, you can sway her, you can do whatever you want to do, and it won't work. But as soon as she hears Miss Rachel's voice on a video, she's out of it. She's happy. She's smiling.
Okay, so who's Miss Rachel?
Who's Miss Rachel? Andy.
Is this like a care worker? Or?
No, Miss Rachel is I guess I'll call her an internet personality. Or she makes videos. She used to be a therapist, and so she wanted to make videos for kids about learning. And so
wow,
that's why I don't mind Vivian watching these videos, is that they're very instructional. So they're the colors, the numbers, the going to the bathroom. Like every video is like an instructional video or like educational video.
Yeah, sorry to insult Miss Rachel, but I had never heard of her.
You walk up and down the aisles at Target and you'll see how popular Miss Rachel is now. There's just toys and everything, and she's like, good for her. Like, I'm all about supporting Miss Rachel. So
yeah, okay,
yeah. So Miss Rachel's her favorite thing. But
okay, so that's number one.
She loves any toy that makes noise and lights up. So thankfully, her epilepsy is not triggered by lights or anything like that. So she loves toys that light up. And you'll see her when she plays with them, she puts them as close to her face as she can. So we talked to her doctors about that. And it's like a visual stimming thing where she wants to look at it very closely, but she'll just have her face plastered right on that thing. And the lights will just be going. And the more noise and lights, the better.
That's so great. I'm still shocked with Miss Rachel. I literally thought it was your like a care worker you had.
I mean, we call her Mama Rachel here. So she is like the babysitter, or like or
oh my gosh. So being the dad, being the husband, you obviously have a lot on your plate. Things haven't totally gone. I'm assuming, we haven't talked about it, but things haven't totally gone probably to your expectation of what you thought, being a dad was going to be like. What are a couple of things that you do to stay healthy? Now, I'm talking mentally healthy, physically healthy, whatever, however you want to do that. But what are a couple of things that you do that have worked for you over the last few years?
Yeah. When I'm able to stay physically and mentally healthy, you kind of try to look back and say, what helped, what was
Yeah.
going on. We mentioned it earlier, but I'm a golfer, so being able
Okay. Yeah.
to, I have been able to maintain playing golf on a regular basis on a league with my friends, and I think that is
That's
a
huge.
big help to have 2 to 4 hours to yourself out in
Yeah.
nature. Obviously we talked about being a big outdoors person, so being
Right.
outside, being around friends, doing something I've loved to do.
Especially if golf doesn't piss you off and you like throw your clubs, like that's a huge win.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person too that I don't get up and down on the golf course. If I'm playing bad, I don't care. If I'm playing good, I don't care. If my partners are playing good and they're beating me, I'm rooting for them. Like
Yeah,
I try to be
that's
very
good.
positive,
I like
and
that.
keep that positivity in all things that I do. And so anger doesn't come into my golf game very often.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think trying to be able to do that has been a really good thing.
Yeah.
And then just Caitlin and I too, we just try to be outside as much as possible. And I think that, the fresh air or the nature or just, just doing something, I think, it keeps you going. It keeps
For sure.
you moving forward. I'm not a runner or anything. I'm only running if I'm chased or if I'm doing an activity. So like
A purposeful runner.
yeah, I don't, golfing doesn't really keep you that physically fit. So
Right.
hiking, is like the biggest thing that we do to kind of keep our physical fitness up.
Yeah.
And I think that, every year, I think this happens to a lot of people in Michigan, but I get seasonal depression now too. So
Oh, okay.
probably because I can't golf. Maybe that's what it is. Once we're in, the winter season here. So
I know. It's
being
dark at like
indoors for
2 o'clock.
3-4 months at a time, that kind of weighs on me a little bit more now than it used to. And I think that trying to keep up with my friends, with a friend circle, with
Okay.
a certain Hope community, with anyone that I can, I find myself seeking that out more now than I used to. So
you don't typically hear that from dads, like seeking out, like getting together with guys for like more than like drinking a beer or doing something stupid, like there's a benefit to it. So that's definitely encouraging to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and drinking a beer has been difficult. I gave up drinking when Vivian was born. So
okay.
I said to myself, I have to be available 24/7 to take her to the hospital, to drive her somewhere, to care for her. And I was like, I can't have alcohol clouding that. And so I haven't had a drink of alcohol in almost 4 years now. So that does limit your friend activities when hanging out with the boys and having a drink used to be something that you would do. So
right.
Now, I'm a big sparkling water guy.
Proud
so.
of.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. No, I think that's incredible. That speaks to your, the responsibility, the weight of your situation, is awesome. I mean, that's cool. I think that's great. And I think there's a lot of guys that have probably thought about that as well. Mm-hmm. And it's not an easy thing for sure.
Yeah.
So now that you've taken care of yourself as much as you can and when you can, you're also married. You said, is it 13 years?
Yeah, 13 years. Yeah.
Okay. Crushing it. 13 years. Share some of your secrets or like your winning strategies for marriage. Like what keeps you guys on the same page? I'm not trying to say like you're perfect and you have it all together, but I'm just trying to think of the dad that's maybe watching or listening. That's like, maybe they're in a season where it's like, we are not doing great,
Yeah.
So maybe some of the things that you're doing can encourage them.
Yeah. I have something that I like to tell people when they ask me something like that now is, in those early months that after Vivian was born, something that Caitlin and I started to do, and we'll still do it now if we have to, if we get down in kind of those difficult times, is before we go to bed at night, it's just the two of you sitting in bed. We would both of us would have to say something positive that happened during the day. Name me one thing, that made you smile today, or that made you just happier. And so early on, that was, hey, I think Vivian cracked a smile today, or I think, that went better today than it did yesterday. It was the smallest of things. It was sunny today, so the days weren't always good. It was a rough time for a long time. But being able to just, sit there with your wife and try to think of something positive, it helped a lot. And so
I like that.
That's something that I recommend to try, is just to try to find something, anything good that happened that day.
Yeah. So easy to focus on the negative because there's a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, being intentional with the positive is crucial.
Yeah. And the other thing that I say is, Caitlin and I think we got lucky. I'm sure that our timing of having Vivian, was God's plan. Like everything happened for a reason. Our lives kind of unfolded the way they did under his guidance, because we were married for 9 years before we had Vivian, and having a foundation of the marriage, kind of your marriage roles, or understanding each other, being in your mid-30s when you have a disabled child, I think it helped us a lot. Because if I try to think of like 21-year-old Geof, having Vivian, like, whoa, like you would not have been prepared for that. Or if, you're newlyweds, and it's like, you haven't figured out, how your marriage works and what works in your marriage. And then now you have to figure that out and this new life that you didn't know anything about. And so we were lucky that we had, a long time to be married and to love each other and to deepen and strengthen that love before we had Vivian, because that was a very positive thing. So
okay, well, you mentioned God, which I like to hear that, and always makes me ask, the next question. I get so curious about, your faith and how that has played a role in the last, we'll just say 3 years, because we're focusing on Vivian. I know it's obviously played a role in your marriage up until Vivian, but like in the last 3 years, with all the highs, the very high highs, but also like the deep lows, just real sadness and heartache. How has your faith helped you? How has that journey been? Are you able to speak on that?
Yeah. So I would say that, early on in Vivian's life, the things that faith-wise that I leaned on is, I'm a big worship music person. So I get a lot of my faith and my thoughts through worship songs. And so when we would be feeding Vivian, for the first, 2 years of her life, she was on, even now, she's on this very strict schedule with her feeds. We would listen to the same playlist over and over again. Every time we fed her, I would have it. I'd get on my YouTube playlist, and there would be like, 6 or 7 songs that would take the whole entire feed. And we would listen to, worship music and just hearing. And I remember too, when she was in the hospital in that first 2 weeks, and I was just standing over her crying, like there were songs we would just play of like, I can't remember them right now, but we would just play these songs over and over again. Just listening to the words and hoping that she could hear what was going on. And
those are so powerful. Music is.
Yeah. And so that's been a big part of my faith through this time is listening to music. And, yeah.
Are you guys able to go to church?
We are. Yeah. Yep. So we recently, we stopped going to church when the pandemic happened, and then Vivian was born during it. So we went, 4 or 5 years without going. And then just in the past year, we found a new church, and the things that's really drawn us to it is their kind of acceptance. So it's a very accepting church of everyone, of all walks of life, of disabled, of non-disabled, of every person in the community is welcome at this church, and they've welcomed us with open arms. Vivian Vivian can be sitting in the front row, rocking back and forth, screaming and putting her arms in the air. And they're like, they're not the church that's kind of like looking at you and saying like, can you get her out the back? Like,
Right.
what's going on? They're like, no, like, this is Vivian. Like, here she is. Like, we love her.
Yeah.
And that's
like good.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. I love that. What are a couple of your favorite, this is just, I'm a big music guy too. What are a couple of your favorite worship bands or songs? Putting you on the spot.
You did really put me on the spot. I'm gonna say only, but whatever is being like sung at church on a Sunday, that's like, I'll try to immediately to look that up. Like, what was that song, or what is it? It's a lot of like the kind of the big worship songs, like the Passions and like the things like that. And so, I don't have a song or a band right on the tip of my tongue that I could tell you.
All right. That's okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you too, what are, and this is a tough question, because I like to put myself in the shoes, and I'm just glad I'm not in your position right now.
Thanks.
I recently did a podcast where I was on the other side of the microphone, and it was difficult. So all that to say, what is there any like invisible battles that you and Vivian and Caitlin go through that you wish other people could understand?
Yeah, that's deep. You're gonna bring a lot out of here. Yeah, I think it's I think a lot of people don't want to ask how you're doing. And I think that the more I don't know if it's the older I get or if it's how Vivian has changed me, but I've become the kind of person that wants to talk about how I'm doing.
Really?
Yeah. And I think family and friends, they don't want to ask though, because they may be worried that what the answer is, maybe I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
And they won't know how to kind of react to that. But I think that's what I've been carrying around for a while, is just like people not not feeling comfortable asking how people are doing, and I find it all the time too, of like there are certain people at work when I'm in the office, and it's like, hey, how you doing today, Geof? I could be having the worst day. Vivian could have been up at 2 and I could be super cranky. And what do you say? Good. Doing good.
So good.
Good time, right? But there are some people at work, if they ask me that, I was like, I'm doing terrible. Like, I'm having an awful day. And like, if you can find, people that are, you feel comfortable kind of having those conversations with and being able to be open like that. That's what I seek out now is those kind of interactions. And
I like that.
It's different. Like, that's not something that I would say was a part of me before Vivian, or, before now. So
yeah, you're saying you're ready and willing to be open with people when they actually ask the question in a way that wants a response.
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing? And then I'll pause and be like, I really want to know.
Yeah. Or are you sure? Are you really? Are you really? Are you actually doing good? Like, that follow-up. Sometimes that follow-up question, like, if someone asks it, okay, now you're ready. Now I'm here. Like, now lock in. Where are we?
Right. I said to somebody the other day that I asked them how they were doing, and they gave me your response, I'm good. And I said, are you telling me the truth, or are you just trying to like, and he's like, no, dude, I'm not doing great at all. It's like, well, you have to fight for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I guess is okay. Because, the norm is you just ask it. It's like saying hi. You just ask it and you don't really care. But like when you fight a little bit more, then it's like, okay, yeah, they're interested, and that's good.
And I think you talk about it a lot. I listen to your podcast a lot, Andy. Great podcast. Happy to be on.
I appreciate that.
But I think you talk about a lot in that, sometimes dads feel like they have to have it all together, and and we don't, right? We rarely do.
I do not.
Yeah. And sometimes I just want to tell someone I don't have it together, and see what, and have that conversation because it's tough. Like it's hard being a dad to any child, let alone,
For
one with a
sure.
disability. And so carrying that around, inside of you without being able to let it out, that can eat at someone. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you're already carrying enough around. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. So, you mentioned, how Vivian has changed you a little bit. Don't you love I'm asking all the questions I did not prepare you for? It's like, you jerk. What are a couple ways that Vivian has changed you for the better? And I know we're only talking, almost 4 years, and there's going to be like we could do this in 3 years again and it's going to be like completely different.
Mhm.
But like right now, how has she changed you?
Some of the easy things that come to my mind straight away are compassion, or like
Mm,
understanding where other people are in their journey or their life, um, and how to help in those situations. So, when Vivian was first born, of course there were a lot of people who, hey, can I bring you a meal? Can I do this? Can you do that? And awesome, that's wonderful. But it's in the intention of how you do that now, where I look back and I think I didn't do that enough, or
mm,
I should have done more for other people. And so now, any situation that comes across my phone, my table, whatever, I'm jumping in. Like I got to do something. How can I help? What can I do? And you learn when you're on the other side of that, receiving the help of like, well, what is beneficial? Like, okay, well, sometimes you can get the broad statement of let me know how I can help, or I'm here for
right.
you, and it's like, well, I'm so busy, trying to keep this child alive and myself alive that I can't reach out to people. Like, I'm sorry. All
Yeah.
my 24/7 you're just trying to get to the next day. But when people are like, here is one thing I can do. Let me bring you coffee and put it on your doorstep for you. Like, that's like, you don't have to
Yeah.
do anything. Like, I'm just going to do this for you. Like stuff like
Shoot.
that. Like, you don't realize how beneficial that can be until you're on the other side of it. And
Mhm.
that's like being in that situation because of Vivian, like that's helped me out now with people in my life, where I can now provide that kind of help and know, what's going to be, beneficial for them.
I like that. That's good. Well, it seems like from what I've witnessed, and it's really not a ton. I mean, I've seen you at some events and Bible study without your crew, but like I just feel like you are such an intentional dad, and that's so awesome to see. So thank you for your example and how hard you're working at being a dad and a good husband. I think it speaks volumes. And it's like I said in the beginning, man, this is so encouraging for so many other dads. And I love I love your honesty. You nailed some of these questions, man. Like there was some answers I've never heard before, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thanks. I know that you're a busy dude, and you probably are going to get up early, and so your time is valuable. And so I just want to say I appreciate you being on the podcast tonight with me. It really means a lot, Geof.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to do this.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Andy.